All right, everyone, welcome to Hellbound Holler Live. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we will get started with the show. Give us a 5x5 in the chat, my friends. 5x5. Thank you, Oki, as usual. Welcome to Monday Night Raw, Real and Dangerous. My name is Jesse.
Why have we never thought of that before? Monday Night Raw, Real and Dangerous, because we'd get the pantsuit off.
Because I just did.
Yeah.
My name is Jesse. This is my paramour.
Paranormal
Paramour show. And this is our Monday night show where we talk about ghouls, goblins, and all the good stuff.
We should have done, it's weird. I wasn't even thinking that it was St. Patrick's Day today.
You're Irish. Isn't there something that vibrates inside of you?
Yeah. We should have done one on like Cryptids of Ireland or something like topical like that.
Yeah.
We really missed an opportunity there, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So, oh well. Next year, maybe. Lady Wolf, member for 16 months. Best mod of the business.
Best mod
of the business. Lady Wolf, I messaged you earlier. Hope you got it. Hope everybody dodged the storms that just came through.
Yeah, we were really nervous. We were up all night.
7, 8 in the morning.
Worried about that storm coming through because we have had one like major weather disaster after another.
Seems like every 7 weeks or so we get like another major weather event coming through that we're having to like deal with. Now all we're having to deal with is like waist-high grass. We were like out cutting our grass right before this happened because we got like 2 days of warm weather and a bunch of rain, and it looks like a freaking jungle out there. But anyway, I hope everybody got through okay. Just those of you that I've kind of like traded a few messages with, it seemed like for the most part everybody kind of dodged a bullet with it. So hopefully that continues with all of our folks here.
We are insanely busy on this end. We're prepping up for a really, really big top secret investigation. And it's more ambitious than anything we have ever done. So we are working really hard on putting together all the elements of a really top-notch presentation. So we've been talking to witnesses and finding crazy locations and coming up with some cool ideas.
I
went and bought a case of bug spray today.
And
tick spray.
But we've come up with some things. We've got some really cool stuff we're going to do on a couple of these investigations that we have never done before.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty cool. And yeah, we're kind of being overly mysterious right now, but it's what it is. Curtis Whitaker out the gate. Curtis, one of these weeks, you're not going to do that. And we're going to have to call like...
What did I say last week? I said, Curtis, don't hurt us.
Have to call in the FBI for like a wellness check. So,
yeah.
But we've got some pretty cool stuff planned up for this that are some stuff we've never tried before.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to go too much into details right now because I don't want to ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be cool. We're really excited for it. It's a lot of prep work. But I am in the editing bay as well. I am working on our first release from the Blackthorn Lake series, and hopefully I will have that out at the end of this week. We'll let you know. But it is our first scouting mission in the Blackthorn Lake area. So we will be beginning that series. We'll be beginning the release of those episodes. So I'm in the editing process right now. So hopefully by the end of the week, that will be ready to roll for you guys. And we can start checking out all the Blackthorn Lake stuff that we've kind of alluded to. I know that everybody in our membership, we have these members' lives that we do. We've discussed a lot of this stuff. We've given the members some sneak peeks on some of that stuff too with the Blackthorn Lake saga that's going on. But now we're going to share all of that in order with you guys, with the general public. And so all of that's going to come out. All those videos are going to start coming out over the next few weeks. So hopefully that first in that series comes out this week. I am aiming to get it done and out for y'all. I'm excited to start rolling out that series because that Blackthorn Lake area, as we've kind of discussed before a little bit, that's that area that I have that huge semi-redacted dossier on. That is an area that is pretty much untouched for many, many years. There's several old plantation sites there, and there's a variety of phenomenon going on out there. But it seems like there's a lot of Bigfoot activity out there as well.
Yeah, that's a place where I feel pretty safe to say that if Bigfoot's anywhere in the South, it's there. It's in a spot like that. So anyway, a couple of quick housekeeping things here. Alan, remember for 16 months as well. Love the show. Thank you so much. And then Sheila P.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. We greatly appreciate it.
She just wants me to sing to her again. Oh, oh, Sheila, let me love you till the morning comes.
You like singing for your supper there, for God's sakes.
Hey,
so,
gotta do what you gotta do.
What the Flock did not see the huge semi-redacted dossier. I'm watching I have the show going on my phone.
Okay.
And I've already got hit with an ad. So if you guys get hit with an ad, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Once we get a certain number of people in the chat, it just seems like that triggers YouTube to start throwing ads at us. So I apologize. That ain't nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I'm not here with an ad machine popping it up. And I hope, speaking of ad machines and adding machines, I wish you all luck with your taxes this year, because I just turned hours in and I needed a stiff margarita afterwards. So good luck with all of that. We've got bad storms, taxes.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It's the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
My buddy Deuster, making my money's great. Love you guys.
What's up, Deuster?
So the man, the myth. But anyway, not a lot going on in the cryptid world right now. Not a lot going on with that. Not a lot going on in like the UFO world right now.
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of flaked out for a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Or everybody's just like super busy. So yeah, people talking about YouTube throwing the throwing ads on. Again, there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
YouTube's gone through a bunch of changes over the past.
We're trying to keep up with
4 months.
What's going on with it.
Yeah.
But
people like that are subscribed to us don't get, and that's everybody. It's not just us. It's just they every so often shake the system up. And at the end of the day, YouTube's not a money-making venture for Google. I think they lose money on it. So
yeah, I think the storage space for everything is just insane.
All the bandwidth and everything like that. So now, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Only game in town, really. But yeah, not a lot going on that end, and which is weird. I don't know. I figured a little bit of like warm weather out there, you'd see a lot of stuff going on, but it seems like, especially on like the UFO front right now, everything's just kind of at a pause.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of tired of like the whistleblower stuff.
I think it's a lot of, especially with folks like, when you've got these mega personalities, there's always the trust me, bro, it's coming.
Exactly what I was going to with that. The trust me, bro.
And it's constantly just dragging you along and promising this and promising that and never delivering.
Yeah.
And I think at some point, everybody accuses everybody of being grifters that they don't like.
They're a grifter.
But at some point, if you don't deliver anything, you have to kind of wonder, are you dragging people along with these empty promises, or is there a there?
Yeah. Speaking of empty promises, our audio project is underway for it. I am waiting for some parts to come overseas right now. And for those of you who know, Jesse and I are getting ready to launch a long duration audio recorder project across certain parts of our, of the lower Southern Appalachian region where we do investigations at. We're going to have some long duration audio recorders there. We're going to probably start with 2 weeks to begin with. I'm not going to run them a full 30 days yet, although we might. I don't know. But
and I think we're going to launch some of that on this big project that we've got coming up too.
Yeah.
We're going to utilize some of that in that project, as well as utilize them in a lot of our other research areas in the Southern Appalachian region.
But what we're going to do is we are going to be running some audio recorders. We've already got some volunteers from the community to do some audio review for us. That is still underway. I tested a few different types of audio recorders. We've had some people out there that have kind of contributed to kind of get that going. So I want to keep everybody up to date on that. Right now, I'm waiting for some microphones. Wildlife recording equipment is like expensive as hell, and like dedicated like wildlife like
Birdmen are very
a
extreme.
very elite bunch, apparently, man. It's only like millionaires doing that. But I've got a company that makes Birdman makes microphones that I've got a handful on order from overseas. So I'm waiting for those to show up pretty soon. So.
And we haven't even told everybody what the name of the project is. When I'm going to have a video that comes out that's going to debut the name of the project. Right now it's, what is it? Super secret audio project right now.
I can't even remember what we came up with. I think I announced it somewhere and I just, because we were, huh? Yeah, I know, but I just can't remember what
okay.
We started with, we wanted a cool name and then we'll like make the letters fit.
We have to work backwards.
You know, because, you know, you can come up with a title and then, you know, give it the abbreviation, you know, and then end up with something goofy. So we were like, all right, we need just a badass like abbreviation first, and then we'll like, you know, work backwards from it. So we had to mess with that a little bit at that point. But all right. And let's see what else we got here. We got a few random things. We'll cover some stuff from the chat before we jump into.
I do want to remind you before we jump into our topic, though, if you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button right now.
Do a brother a favor.
Share the show with your friends. Share it everywhere. It's everyone you know.
Wake your neighbors up.
Wake your neighbors.
Get them on YouTube.
They need to be woken.
So.
And then we're going to hop into our topic today. We have a pretty interesting topic today.
Yeah. And we're going to go through some of this stuff in the chat real quick.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we'll jump in our topic. Joseph Sage, what impact on cryptid activity do you think severe weather has? I think you hear people talk about how, well, the weather has riled up the Bigfoot and it has driven them from, and who knows, that might be the case. That one sighting that we went out and we were on the ground pretty quickly after those two guys reported it to us. There was some talk that maybe the incoming weather event that was happening at that moment had maybe put some stuff on the move, and then this Bigfoot was moving to like safer ground. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
Yeah.
I do think that the increased energy that's out there, the storm has a lot of energy, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of energy. And we saw that when Hurricane Helene swept through. The paranormal activity in a lot of these areas seemed to just be ramped up. And we were worried going into some of these areas going like, hey, what effect has all this destruction had on these areas that we've gone to in the past that were generally pretty active? And we noticed that when we got out there, we noticed pretty quickly that they were extremely active. And we thought the idea was that it had something to do with all the energy that had been released with these storms going over. And I think that if anything happens, that's pretty likely as to what's going on right now. We've got crazy weather going on, really violent storms. There's a lot of energy in the atmosphere, a lot of energy, heat energy and whatnot being transferred, lightning, everything like that.
It seems like a lot of upheaval going on.
Yeah.
And that seems like it feeds into activity that's going on. It's kind of like when you renovate a house and all of a sudden the poltergeist activity starts up. You know, you live in a house for many years, nothing happens. And then you start major renovations. And then all of a sudden you're hearing knocks on the walls and things are flying around. So maybe that's the same kind of concept with when there's major earth movement, there's major release of energy, that maybe this stirs up paranormal activity.
Yeah, it does. And maybe it just, at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it has an effect though. I think it has an effect. Just in our own limited experience, I think it has an effect. A couple other quick things here real quick. James Davies, have we been to the Grove recently? We have not been to the Grove recently. There's some weird stuff going on with the Grove. Not weird paranormal, but just some weird stuff going on with
the surrounding area.
I don't want to dox the area, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now throughout there. One of the ways to get in there was you've seen the Grove, there's water there. There was a small bridge that they basically said, oh, we're going to fix this bridge. And they just took the bridge down and then just walked away from it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there right now. We're overdue for a trip back. So
I think so too.
Yeah. So we will keep you guys.
And I think we're definitely overdue for a journey back to North Georgia. We have such a long and storied history with North Georgia. That's where we got the burning light footage. That's where Jumpergate occurred.
Jumpergate. Some of those areas we have not been back into since Hurricane Helene hit.
Yes.
because the roads are no longer existent getting up in there.
That area that we found possible evidence of the Cherokee Little People, there's more stuff back in there, deeper into that cut back there that we want to explore.
If we had not come across Blackthorn, well, I take it back. If we had not come across Laurel Creek
set us off.
And then Blackthorn after that, which has just basically consumed us, we would have already have tried to work our way in on foot. But I mean, working your way on foot, that's a real mountainous area. So you got to carry everything in. You're probably going to have to sleep, investigate, sleep, hike back out. You know what I'm saying? So, which is not, it's doable. It's just, you got to have a pretty good time commitment. You got to plan something like that out pretty well. And Laurel Creek and then Blackthorn basically just swept us up, but we're overdue for some visits back there. And Jay Harrington had asked any plans for the LBL. Not during the summertime, because it is going to be overran with ticks
and people
and Bigfoot hunters and people.
But I repeat myself.
Yes. So, but we are. Damn, that was good. Jesus, Lordy.
I get 2 moments of genius a day. That was one.
But we'll be back in there, and you'll see us with we've got some people down there. Dooster's down in there. Our buddy Mike Smith's down there. We got some other people. Charlie Raymond, who we got to know during CryptidCon, is in Kentucky. So we've got some people down there that we want to collaborate with. Our buddy Okie. Thank you for that, Okie.
Oh, and another thing, we are in the preliminary stages of working on a URI project down the line a little bit. The URI is not far from us. We like to focus on things. And so I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Western North Carolina, but I love focusing on North Carolina, South Carolina, North Georgia. That's just our Southern Appalachian region. We're definitely going back to the LBL eventually, but we really want to focus on this particular region. So if you have had an experience in the URI National Forest or nearby, make sure you reach out to us, because we're kind of gathering some stories right now on things that have happened in the URIs. I know that, there were several researchers out of there that have gotten some interesting evidence over the years. But if you've had an experience out there, reach out to us, hellbentholler@gmail.com, and make sure that you put URI in the title, and we will get back to you, because we're just collecting a few stories right now and experiences for things that have happened out there, because we want to start diving into that a bit too.
For those of you who are Bigfooters, we've got some people that are like paranormal folks, some dogman folks, some UFO folks, and we've got some people that are like real big into the Bigfoot topic. For those of you that are in the Bigfoot topic, where up in the URIs is where the squeaky thermal was captured by a guy named Mike Green. And basically, he was a long-term, very dedicated Bigfoot researcher. He was there in the early days of the BFRO, kind of left them due to a difference of opinion on how to conduct research. But he would do a lot of like baiting with different types of food, peanut butter, whatnot. I know. As soon as I said that, I was just like, somebody start the idiocracy jokes. But he would put out a lot of gifting, I guess you could call it. It's a better way to say it. And he would put food items out on this particular stump, and then he would have a thermal imager, like a thermal scope, an early model one. Guy was really dedicated, invested a lot of money.
I think he said it was like a
Raytheon, like military grade back, but it's very early thermal technology that you could get. And the squeaky footage basically looks like a very thick-bodied, 7-foot tall figure peeks out from behind the trees. It's got this swaying motion peeking out behind the trees, and we've seen that tree peeking behavior. Something peeking out.
We've captured something like that on thermal ourselves. Yes.
Yeah. So, but then it literally kind of comes through the trees and then sneaks up, grabs a Zagnut bar.
God, these Zagnuts
off of the stump, and then kind of disappears back in. And when you look at it, you go, "That's a really big living thing moving. That's not somebody in a Bigfoot costume, because the costume would not show up on thermal like just a naked animal would." But it's a great piece of footage. And I actually read his book. He wrote a book called, what's it called?
Sasquatch for Sale.
Sasquatch for Sale.
DNA.
He goes through,
and something else.
I don't pay a lot of attention to other Bigfoot researchers, because I got my own thing we do. She's got her own thing. That's not a judgment or a critique of anybody else doing this stuff. It's just we got our own stuff that we're doing. You know, everybody should have their own kind of little flavor. And I didn't really get into this stuff to study the other people involved with it. I got into to study the phenomena that are out there. So I don't really read a lot of books like this. And it's weird because I think we're pretty well read on a lot of the investigative techniques and the equipment and some of the theories and everything like that. I'm not very well read on the topic of Bigfoot researchers. People will mention stuff to me sometimes and I'll be like, you have to forgive me, I don't know who that is, you know. And that's not some weird hipster thing. It's just that, again, we're doing our own thing. I'm sure that person doesn't know who Hellbent Holler is because they're busy doing their stuff. That's cool. But I read Mike Green's book, man, and I read it for the North Carolina stuff. And I didn't know everything else that was going to be in there.
Yeah.
It's one of the best books I've read in like recent memory.
It's a sordid tale.
I was like, and Mike unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And Jesse can tell you, I had this moment when I read the final chapter and I just stopped and she goes, "You all right?" And I go, "I'm really kind of bummed out because we missed meeting Mike Green by just a couple of years. I feel like I kind of know him after reading this book."
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When I first started reading it, I'm just not to speak ill of the dead, but I kind of went, Mike Green's a little bit of an a-hole. A little bit.
Well, let's.
And then.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kettle.
Yeah, no. And then Jesse read a little bit of it, and she goes, "Jesus Christ, you and Mike Green are about two peas in a pod." And then I finished reading it. And I went, "Yeah, you're right. I kind of see a lot of the same like opinions that we have, and a lot of the ideas on like the widely accepted avenues of like researching these phenomena and how you're repeating the same thing over and over and over again with not any results. So why do it? Why not move to something else?" But great book, absolutely great book. And I walked away with it going, because I'm gonna be honest with you, the Uaris and those parts of North Carolina, a lot of times I look at it and I go, I can see why skeptics say there'd be no Bigfoot activity up there. Mm-hmm. All of their arguments against Bigfoot activity being there ring true to me. I can't deny what they're telling me here. But then you've got this thermal footage from a guy who was as prepared and as technologically savvy as we are and as imaginative as we are. And I think we're pretty good at that. And I'm looking at it going, he's as good, if not better, years before we were doing this. And he caught some great thermal footage. And then Julie Wrench with like her audio. And I'm going, you have this area where you can see why people don't think there's Bigfoot activity there. But then you look at some of the craziest Bigfoot evidence in the last like 20 years has been captured up there. Yeah. It's wild, man. Mm-hmm. And people I know have claimed that, the squeaky footage is like fake. I don't ever think anybody's ever, I'm sure people claim everything's fake. You know what I'm saying? You can't listen to Julie Wrench's audio and just go, that's fake. I wouldn't know how to recreate that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't know how to do it. And it's the just,
demon possession.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, help. Yeah, it's crazy, but wow. Thank you very much for this. Disgruntled disabled combat vet. Damn, you've caught us off guard with that. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask for a PayPal link because I know how much YouTube takes from donations. Have you folks ever thought about mounting a rear-facing camera? How about interviewing, vetting volunteers to take on a dangerous, sketchy locations? We always have to kind of try to like. Thank you for that again, by the way. We're greatly appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so
much. And
much.
If you want to put a PayPal link up in there, if you want to.
Yeah, I can fix that.
I don't know what the PayPal link is. And we're always appreciative of anything that anybody donates to us. The rear-facing camera thing works well in certain areas. Everybody always associates rear-facing cameras with Scott Carpenter. And Scott Carpenter got a lot of the interesting rear-facing camera footage in the parts of the Smoky Mountains where he investigated. And a lot of those were, and the one that's coming to mind right now is the back-facing footage he had of what looks like a large white Sasquatch head kind of looking and dipping back around, But he's on a pretty well-maintained, pretty wide, and yeah, it's mountainous, but he's got a good field of view towards the rear of him is what I'm saying with this. And it worked exceptionally well. And even with that, I don't know how many, I'm going to just say hundreds of hours, I'm just ballparking that, of unviewed footage Mr. Carpenter had when he passed away. God rest his soul. He had a lot of it. So that works really well. We have tried it before, and Jesse's seen the footage. Most of the footage is unusable because we follow old forest roads and then we just go into the woods. So we're in the woods. I've got tree branches hitting it. And if you ever see a channel doing this and they've just got the camera running, action cam batteries are garbage. They only last from an hour if you're lucky. So you got to really run it on external power. The cable gets knocked out by branches. So it works well. It doesn't work well in the majority of our research areas. Now, that being said, there are some places that we're looking at where that is going to work. My birthday's next month. Jesse actually got me a new action cam for my birthday. So
we got some new microphones as well, so our audio is going to improve.
Yeah, so but that's what I wanted for my birthday was some research equipment. So got me a new action cam. So I'm looking about trying to, in some of these areas, I usually run a chest cam, run a rear facing cam in some of the areas where I think it's going to work. So we have thought about that. It's got value in a lot of places, but just not, unfortunately, where we usually research at. And then as far as like interviewing and vetting volunteers to take on dangerous, sketchy locations, we had toyed with the idea in the past of doing like a Hellbender get together, like research thing. And it would be for free because I know a lot of people do paid things like that, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. You can't guarantee anything's going to happen. So, a lot of times we go out and nothing happens. It's not you can do everything right. You can be very prepared. You can go to a very active area and have nothing happen.
Yeah.
So, not to mention you have to have licenses and whatnot for that are very difficult to obtain.
I think eventually we will have a Hellbender hootenanny and
that. Now
research intensive. I think that would be amazing.
And, but I mean, we are thinking about doing that down the road. Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is that I got a little bitter for a while because I'm just gonna be honest with you. I would help people with equipment ideas and then they would just steal the idea and I'd never be mentioned. And then I wouldn't hear from them again until they did something else. And I'm petty. But
they'd say, this is definitely not from Joe Dorr.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then I had a moment where everybody always complains about how toxic, especially the Bigfoot community is. And there's not really anything you can do to fix it. I mean, there's not a ground council that decides who gets involved with this or not. Thank God, because we'd probably be the first people drummed out. But the way you combat that is get more cool people involved, and then you dilute the stuff that everybody always complains about. If you got 10 people and 3 of them suck, that's a problem. If you got 100 people and 3 of them suck, it's barely noticeable.
That's okay.
Exactly. So,
and I think that's something we're trying to do here is really build kind of a culture of open-mindedness and, having rigor when it comes to what you do and really taking the subject seriously, but not taking yourselves too seriously, you know?
So and I've seen people talk about that before. I don't like the way Hellbent Holler acts. We're just normal people, man. We're goofy.
Normal human people.
But I just, we don't put on those weird, mysterious Bigfoot hunter airs and all that. But
I do have a Bigfoot hunter hat, though.
You do need to bust the adventure hat out before it gets too hot. Okay.
I'll wear it in any temperature.
But
I'll only wear the hat.
But anyway, we've thought about doing that. So the front-facing camera that I've been using may get relegated to a rear-facing camera in certain areas. And my new camera, thank you for my new camera for my birthday.
Travis Schaefer also has a little birthday gift for you, but we'll go on to that next.
Okay.
But go on.
Anyway, but we greatly appreciated that, my friend, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
And like I said, if we do end up doing something like that, you have to always wonder, man, who's gonna show up for stuff like that? You're gonna have stories to tell, if nothing else, even if nothing weird.
Are you talking about The Gathering?
Oh yeah, exactly.
The Hellbent Hootenanny
Gathering.
God, you know what? This is totally off topic. Do you remember the first Dogman conference? How excited we were. We kind of decided to go on a whim, and it was in Paris, Tennessee, and we were all so excited because there were supposed to be beefs. There were all these Dogman
shooting threads
that were gonna get squashed. There were gonna be
people were gonna fight,
boxing matches. There was everything.
And then everybody, you got there, and everybody was so completely nice and normal that nothing weird like that happened at all. So this
Dogman conference has everything.
Karina wanted to know, what are you drinking?
I have sugar-free vitamin water from Sam's.
So, Eric had asked, do you guys ever camp in areas that you believe have Bigfoots?
Yes.
Tent camping. Yeah, all the time.
Yes,
so
we do.
Our general MO is to go in and find an area that's pretty well tucked away and kind of hidden and whatnot. And then we've got some stuff that we put up while we sleep. And, to kind of like watch the area or whatnot. Never really got anything on that. Never really had anything come up and check the camp out while we were sleeping that at least we picked up. But yeah, we do that.
We did have a mouse check out the camp one time and it scared me to death.
We had a mouse that sounded like a freaking elephant outside of our tent one time. We were positive we had something. I got a camera.
We were actually in
pistol and I'm trying to get a flashlight in my mouth.
We were in the Pisgah National Forest and it's actually, we're in a bear sanctuary too.
Yeah.
And I was terrified. I was terrified. I was like, Joe. It was a freaking mouse.
Surviving the Strange Tales from the Grid Square. You talked to him. I'm assuming
I did recently. When we released the final Laurel Creek video, I actually did a teaser that I put on social media that had just a clip of that thermal footage that I captured of that thing kind of peeking from behind the tree. I had that in this teaser clip, and he saw that on Instagram and actually shared it. And I talked to him back and forth a little bit about it. Yeah. But yeah, they got some interesting stuff.
None Your Biz says, you are is awesome. I'm from North Carolina. Went hiking back there years ago at Morrill Mountain and Boy Scouts. If you've ever had anything weird happen up there, and you know of anybody that's had anything weird happen up there, let us know. And everybody's talking about Zagnut bars.
Let me tell you how difficult it is to locate a Zagnut bar.
It's damn hard to find Zagnut bars.
I tried to find Zagnut bars today, and I went to so many places. I went to the Cracker Barrel, and me,
have it there.
Cracker Barrel. Yeah. Me and this lady at the Cracker Barrel were digging through all the drawers looking for some Zagnuts because I was on a Zagnut mission.
But they anyway. Let's see what else we got here. James wants to know, there's Bigfoot here in Washington State. Do you guys travel to the Northwest states? Not yet.
Eventually we'd like to, but we've really got our hands full. And
that is Oklahoma first, though.
Yes.
Oklahoma, and then somebody had asked earlier.
I want to go to the Ozarks so bad.
Somebody had asked earlier about Texas, and Texas would be one, but yeah, we'd like to eventually get out there. The Southern Appalachians, it's in close proximity where we live here. So we know the area, and there's generally stuff going on here. And it's eventually we want to kind of try to do some like real kind of like tent pole type investigations like that. But a lot of times you have an area that's active, like, a few hours away, and you get this feeling of like, well, I can go there this weekend and probably experience something and be able to document something. Or I can go on this like very expensive trip out west. Who knows if I'm going to get anything,
Yeah.
But still, just the kind of, if nothing else, for like cryptid tourism, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Hit Bluff Creek and stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of check stuff like that.
The only problem is we are so equipment heavy, and we've gone so equipment heavy over the past few years and built our kit out so much. It would be so difficult for us to travel and be minimal with what we took out there. And we really want to take a lot of stuff out there so that we can capture the evidence that we're trying to get. So we'd have to figure out how to get that much evidence completely across, that much equipment completely across the country.
And I ain't flying right now, man. There's too much crazy stuff going on. Too much crazy stuff with airplanes, too many weird crashes, too many just bizarre things going on. And I ain't doing it. EDP wants to know, is Julie's audio available to hear somewhere? Our friend Micah Hanks interviewed her and David Ellis from the Olympic Project, and I'm going to post that Sasquatch track link.
Sasquatch Tracks is a great show that Micah Hanks does. It's awesome. They kind of fell off doing it for a while. I think they're picking it back up, but it's a great listen if you guys are looking for a new Bigfoot podcast to kind of catch up on.
Yeah. Thank you, Travis. I see that now. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you.
Blueberry.
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second. And then Alan Howell, thank you for that, buddy. I appreciate it. And then slap up what you got for Blueberry.
Blueberry says Zagnut bars are harder to find than Bigfoot.
They are at this point, to be honest with you.
I have more evidence of Bigfoot than Zagnut bars at this point.
Ghetto Yeti, Helmut Holler, were you in NOLA, New Orleans during Katrina? The stories of the paranormal during the storm were insane. Immediately after the storm, there was a lot of weird stuff going on around there. Now, part of it is, and it's kind of fascinating from like just a people aspect of it, but you knew just from the people that had radios that were able to pick up like signals and what's going on, you knew what was going on the other side of the world better than you knew what was going on 4 blocks down the road.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So with that, there were a lot of rumors that were going crazy. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when you discuss this stuff. But yeah, there were paranormal things. A lot of the people that were down there on a first responder capacity had some crazy stories, man. Crazy stories of just stuff that you just don't. I don't know, man. It kind of, if you think if it's a possibility, it's real. It literally shakes like your version of reality down to its foundation. It's bizarre. But the hauntings in the city, it's a city where people are primed to experience like paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like haunted hotels.
There's ghost tours.
And yeah, ghost tours. And you'll go down the road, like street, and you'll see like townhomes and apartments for sale, that list on the realtor sign, haunted property, But it just seems like I expected everybody, because just the day-to-day struggles were so strong at that point, that for that to kind of fall by the wayside. The kind of fantasy stuff that goes on.
Right.
And maybe the fantasy stuff did, because the reality of what was going on was bananas. It was like tons. I mean, places that had reputations for being haunted, but nothing ever really happened. All of a sudden, you've got like stuff moving on the shelves and just all sorts of crazy stuff. Very weird. Very, very, very weird. And that ties into that thing about the storm activity and how that has a tendency to kind of magnify or amplify like just high strangeness, paranormal activity, cryptid activity, just wild stuff.
Joe actually knew that guy that kind of went off the deep end after Katrina, and unalived his girlfriend.
Yes.
And it seems like a lot of people really were pushed to the brink there, and you don't know if something is a combination of the stress or some sort of demonic possession that kind of comes into it.
Yeah. Field producer K Ultra, Helmet Holler field producer. Can we get a helmet or kilt with a special Zach Nut bar pocket? There you go. Where could you get a kilt made? Now somebody's going to go,
you can get anything custom made. You're crazy
made.
if you don't.
We probably got a kilt maker in the chat here, for God's sake. So, probably got a kilt maker in the chat. So,
surviving the strange, talking, going back to the Katrina situation, knew some contractors that came in directly after, and they had some really weird stories. Like you wouldn't believe it. Like I wouldn't believe it if I did not know them.
Like occult serial killers and like legit vampires, because you always hear those goofy vampire stories down there because of Anne Rice. But you've got people talking about, no, there were things coming here that were coming here because there was like a 30 days of night thing, like just, a city that's kind of cut off where there's, and no communication, no power. There's already a bunch of chaos. There's already a bunch of dead bodies. Yeah, I heard those same stories from the people that supposedly firsthand, not even like I know a guy, but people going, no, this is what I saw. Things wouldn't die, blah, blah, blah. It's crazy.
I always thought that the city itself was kind of a vampire within itself, because you knew people that would move down there, and the way they start and the way they end of being there is just night and day. It's like it drains every bit of life from you, kind of takes something from you, like it demands a sacrifice, Yeah.
So, Stitch Witch.
I got some stuff marked too.
Stitch Witch popped in, asking how we're doing. We're doing all right after the weather. Like I said, the weather was not that bad for us. Usually after every one of these, we're here complaining, going, oh God, it's terrible. But this one wasn't that bad. I felt like we dodged a bullet on it. And Ghetto Yeti talking about, whoops, as I double click it, come to Texas. Devil's Backbone is so active. Is there a Devil's Backbone in Texas too?
There's a devil's something everywhere.
Oh, I know that. I just didn't. There's a Devil's Backbone in the LBO.
Yeah.
And
I'm not familiar with the one in Texas, but I'm very interested.
I would like to get down there, because when Aaron was writing his first The Dogman Triangle book, it was 2 people that we referred to him. I know at least one was after the book was published. So, but there were some people that we had kind of like referred to him that apparently made a pretty good impression on him. And he knows more about it than we do, because as soon as they were like contacting us, I went, we're not in Texas, not planning on coming to Texas, but I got just the guy. If you want somebody knowledgeable about the greater world of high strangeness to listen to this.
I think we we really want to take Aaron out.
I want to take Aaron out
So
on like
bad.
a hardcore, like field investigation night. Take him out. I mean, he did great in the LBL for somebody who will tell you himself that he doesn't get to spend as much time in the field.
I think his enthusiasm and
he's
his knowledge of
fearless.
the subject. Yeah.
He's just running right in there. I mean, when we were at the LBL with Small Town Monsters, everybody's in a big group. Me and Aaron are off in the woods, and I'm showing him where I caught that thermal image of that thing with those pointy ears. But yeah, we'd like to really kind of take him out into the woods.
And I've got some more stuff marked.
Alan Lassiter, did they ever find the lady that went missing at Table Rock?
They have not found her yet. They have found evidence in very strange, far-flung places. Yeah.
And it's there's a lot of like stuff kind of bandying around on social media right now. All we can say is they have not found her. It's tragic. There was another strange disappearance. I can't remember when. That they found the gentleman's car up at Table Rock and they never found him. So it's weird. It's weird. I mean, it's easy for people to go missing out in the woods, but I will just say this, that there's been some really hardworking, smart, some of the people that are out looking for her are the people I would want out looking for me.
Yeah.
You know, so there's
and the people I would call personally to go look for you.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, literally. And they it's not been for lack of trying. You know what I'm saying? So we'll leave it at that. Hopefully for her and her family that they're able to find her.
Welcome, disgruntled disabled combat
vet to the membership. We appreciate that. So we are going to have some cool on the scene footage coming out later by use of the satellite uplink.
By the miracle of modern technology.
By the miracle of modern technology. We have got some stuff set up we don't do a lot of stationary investigations, as you know. The last big one we did like that was when we were testing for infrasound and doing the parabolic stuff. We have got like a full spectrum stationary investigation planned for a particular area that is going to be really cool. And you're going to see some stuff that we don't normally share publicly that we do. It's pretty freaking cool. So,
and we should be live streaming that investigation in the coming week.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes and ears open for that. But we're really excited. We've got some really novel stuff we're going to be experimenting with and live streaming that investigation.
Yeah. And this is a good segue into, if we don't have anything. Well, actually, hold on real quick. Let me go back to that. The prodigal son has come home. Stingray is here. We have not seen you for a bit, my buddy. Welcome back home. EDP Everyday Pyro. Scott Carpenter is a good example of tonight's topic. I struggle to see what all the people see in his videos most of the time. Do you all see it? Makes me wonder if it's something different I should look for. That's a good segue into some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Is the topic for tonight. We're going to talk, and we'll dive in and out of the topic. And when we first put this topic up, are there different types of Bigfoot? We had people going, there's multiple types. And I know that there's all of the different classifications and the labels that people put on them.
Type 1, type 2, type 3.
And then you get like then people are like, oh, that's a gugway, that's a this, that's a that. And I always shy away from the more esoteric labels for like Bigfoot subsets, because at the end of the day, we don't know a lot about Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying? Some people claim that they have everything figured out, but then we don't see anything to back that up. You know, so I always take it from a very obviously my opinion is tainted to a certain extent because we're out there all the time with cameras and we ain't found Bigfoot yet. Now we might have found him on thermal or a 7-foot tall naked hillbilly watching us from
but we don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure. There's always that wiggle room, man.
We didn't lay eyes upon what we actually got on thermal.
And but I think a lot of times some of this stuff of all of the menagerie of different Bigfoot types, a lot of people that are into this stuff, it's kind of the same stuff for people that are into like Marvel and like Harry Potter. Is Harry Potter still a thing? I don't know. But just the different menagerie and the cast of characters and like the pantheon, people really get into that sort of stuff, you know.
Like Pokemon, collect them all.
Yeah, exactly, you know. And I'm not saying that's not the case. It's just that a lot of times it seems like that I'm not involved in that particular subset of Bigfootery, but it just seems like that. And I'm always just like, I don't even know the first thing about Bigfoot when you get down to it. I can see patterns of stuff that we seem to find, but when you get down to like Bigfoot, I don't know the first thing about it. I honestly don't think hardly anybody else does out there as well. But when we're talking about the two different types, are there two different things going on here? Is there a relic hominin that's like kind of just trotting around in the woods and it's sleeping under bushes and caves, having babies? It's just there. And is there another thing out there that's responsible for all the weird stuff that gets reported? Because when you get right down to it, the reports fall into basically two classifications with a little bit of crossover.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, there's usually some real delineation between the paranormal Bigfoot and the flesh and blood Bigfoot.
And it seems like in the community or people who research the topic, there's this bitter war.
And it's a definite delineation between that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a definite delineation on and Surviving Strangers is talking about exactly what I was thinking of. I remember that crazy dude that called into Sasquatch Chronicles saying he had all the classifications of 7 Bigfoot species. Dude was down a rabbit hole. You see that with Dogman too. Type 1, type 3, you know, all these different types. And, you know, a lot of times those are based upon appearance, variations in appearance, and variations in you know,
observed behavior.
Observed behavior is what I'm
yeah.
for. Thank you. And so I can kind of see that, you know what I'm saying? So I can kind of see on that. But for me, a lot of times I don't get, oh, we had a class 3 sighting into, you know, for a lot of times for me, it's just Dogman sighting, Bigfoot sighting. But with the Bigfoot, there definitely does seem to be that the two sides of that Bigfoot coin.
And it seems like some of it is regional in a way.
Very regional in a way. Pacific Northwest seems like it has a lot of...
It leans toward that relic hominid sort of category.
Yeah.
While something in the South, even in Texas and in the Appalachian region, seems like it leans a little more towards that supernatural leaning category.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that always like struck me is that you might have something that obviously there's some variations in appearance. Some people say it was more ape-like. Some people go more human-like. Some people say a weird hybrid of the two. Then you get into like really kind of like minor, more regional variations that had a muzzle, you know, it looked like a baboon, it did this, it did that. But basically you fall down into two different camps. Did it look, well, 3 camps, I guess, basically. More human-like, more ape-like, weird blend of the two, okay? And for me, I don't really get too caught up on the appearance portion of it, okay? A lot of these sightings are very fleeting. You got a lot going on and a lot to process. You're looking at something, and I refer you back to Jesse seeing that large dark figure darting in through the woods and the adrenaline dump she had in the last Laurel Creek video that we did. And you have people that I've seen in the chat talking about.
And I'm going through it now, and I'm going to pop in with some of the stuff from the chat.
That's fine. That's fine.
But go on.
So a lot of times people saw something, but maybe the details, some of them might be burned in their brains. Some of them, you know, their imagination might be filling in the blanks. I don't know. But I just don't usually get too caught up on, did it look more human-like or did it look more ape-like? I look at the delineation of, again, those observed characteristics and the secondary Bigfoot effects. You know what I'm saying? Was it just a flat out, basically what you would expect if you saw a relic hominin or like a slightly intelligent ape? It was eating, it was walking, it saw me, it darted into the bushes, blah, blah, blah. And then the wooey ones, the ones that are kind of wooey, where you have like mind speak or it vanished in a flash of light or all of this other stuff that goes along with it. And I've always said that I think that those two different types of encounters and the inability of people to kind of reconcile both of those is what causes a lot of problems in the Bigfoot community. People who had an encounter where basically it's what you would expect an ape to do. I don't know, man. It's like an undiscovered ape. I came around the corner in my car, you know, I'm driving next to a national forest. It was there on the side of the road eating. It looks up at me, got startled, ran across the road into the tree line, and it was gone. Nothing supernatural about it in the slightest. And then they hear a story that somebody tells that involves mind speak or the ability to maybe traverse different dimensions or anything like that. And they go, you're lying, because that's not what I experienced. I've experienced Bigfoot, and it's just an animal that hasn't been discovered yet. You're lying because your encounter doesn't mirror what I encountered at that point. And then on the flip side, other people just go, what I saw was not an ape. What I saw was anything but an ape. I don't know what this thing is, but it had abilities that animals don't have. It had self-illuminating glowing red eyes. It disappeared in like what appeared to be a portal. You're lying because what I saw was not an ape. And I'm just going, maybe if we come to realize that there's more than one thing going on that's being lumped under the Bigfoot umbrella.
And also that conversation gets turned to these people pitted against each other, accusing each other of lying instead of facing outward and tackling the subject at hand.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that if you all of a sudden went, and it's almost like this, it's these things share some physical characteristics, but then when I say these things, the flesh and blood, and then the stranger, more, I don't want to use woo because that riles a lot of people up. The more supernatural type things, they share physical characteristics, but that seems to be all that they share. Okay. And it's almost like if somebody observed like a large hornet and a small bird. You know what I'm saying? I saw this crazy thing flying. I saw this crazy thing flying too, and neither one of them had ever seen anything like that at all. What did yours do? Mine, ate a worm out of the ground, chirped at me, and then flew away. What did yours do? Mine dive bombed me and then stung me with its butt. And then well, that's not what I saw at all. You're making this up. And it's a pretty crappy analogy, but I
think it's an okay analogy.
I think it's pretty good. I'm doing okay.
You're doing a good job.
I'm building up. But I think what you get down to is that if we could maybe at least be open to the possibility that there's two things going on.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a creature that looks like Bigfoot, and it acted like an ape. Well, I saw a creature that looked like Bigfoot. It acted like anything but an ape, And I think that if we could just go, maybe we encountered two different things here, and maybe you're right and I'm right too, even though we had very dissimilar encounters, we could start to move forward on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe, just maybe, that ape that you saw that behaved like an ape, maybe it has the ability to do some of this stuff. And it just didn't do it when you saw it. And maybe, just maybe, the creature that you saw that seemed to have powers beyond our reality and beyond the abilities of mortal man and the rest of the animal kingdom, maybe it also does some mundane stuff, like eat occasionally, drop scat. Sometimes maybe it doesn't disappear into a flash of light. Maybe sometimes it just looks up, sees something, and runs, So, maybe we're dealing with one singular thing that has an extremely wide variety of options on what it does from day to day, or two different things. Timothy Renner from Strange Familiars podcast talks about how there's a difference between Bigfoot and wild men, the wild man phenomenon. And, that maybe there's more than one thing out here that just looks alike. And we're getting too caught up on that physical appearance aspect of it. And we're lumping it all in together. When maybe when you get into things like this, it's kind of almost like, a really well-trained house dog and a very savage wolf might be very similar to each other in appearance, but vastly different behaviors. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And it's weird because I'm also trying to apply normal everyday analogies to this when this is not a normal everyday subject or phenomenon, And I think that's the other thing too, is the end of the day.
You're a soup seller trying to talk fruits here.
The hell, soup seller?
Yeah.
Talking fruits?
Yeah.
The hell?
You're trying to apply some soup analogy to some fruits.
God almighty. Anyway.
I think it's apt. You thought your analogies were bad.
All right, here's a great one here. Corona, I've seen two Bigfoot in my life when I was 13 years old. I've seen one in Oregon. When I was 45, I saw one in Mineola, Texas. The one in Texas was way different than the one in Oregon. The ones that people in the Pacific Northwest seem to deal with seem to be what I originally thought Bigfoot was. They're living in the woods. They're smart. They're able to stay hidden. They're actively trying to stay hidden, but they're just here all the time. And at the end of the day, they're a bit faster and they can stay hidden really well, but there's really nothing like supernatural. There's nothing beyond science about them right now. But then the ones around in the Southern Appalachians are more aggressive. They don't seem to have the size that the ones out in the Pacific Northwest do. There's a thing called Bergman's rule that talks about how animals, the further north you get, the larger they are. Maybe that plays into it. I don't know.
Why you have the presence of semi-megafauna in Alaska.
Yeah,
correct?
exactly. You know, bears get bigger the further north you get, and everything
That
like that.
monster bear island.
Yeah, but it almost seems like there's two different things you're dealing with here, because the Bigfoot encounters a lot in the South have got some other crazy stuff that go along with them. If you just look at what we've experienced in areas where we've been in that have the stereotypical Bigfoot type, supporting evidence, tree bends, X's, footprints, and everything like that. We've had camera malfunctions, equipment going wacky, caught strange lights on camera, just all sorts of stuff that I'm just going, that's not monkeys. Those are not undiscovered monkeys. Undiscovered monkeys wouldn't cause this to happen. Then the other thing I look at too is there sometimes an associated phenomenon? Are all Bigfoot just what they are? I don't think ape is what it is, but I think like another species of human being, possibly another Homo variant. And it's just going, and maybe some of them have something that tags along with them. I mean, humans have this hitchhiker effect, right? We have things that latch onto us and do weird stuff around us. Maybe that's amplified around Sasquatch. Maybe Sasquatch has super hitchhiker effect, and some of them have other external paranormal factors that latch onto them and express themselves, and people just happen to witness that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that mind speak ain't coming from the Bigfoot itself. Maybe it's coming to whatever's latched onto the Sasquatch. Maybe those weird lights and everything like that, they're not generated by Bigfoot. It's whatever's latched onto the Sasquatch at that point. And that's something that I don't think I don't think you could really know one way or another. It's just a theory that I have, that maybe there's associated paranormal phenomenon, and it's stronger and more amplified and more present and more dramatic when it's associated with Bigfoot as opposed to being associated with people on that.
So Not Today Saban had a thought on how the paths may have diverted with evolution. He says that opinion from your science division, how many hominid species existed prior to Homo sapien that we now find we're beyond hunter-gatherers? Survivors would have evolved, even in vastly different ways. I need my glasses. I'm so
But and here's the other thing too, is that obviously mankind, we like to make gadgets and tools, and we like to tinker with stuff, and we have a camera that works really, really well. We want to make it better, And basically,
different environments will cause you to evolve in different ways.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
They could have had the same root species, but could have evolved completely different.
But here's the deal. If we didn't need sharp sticks to chase down game, we probably wouldn't have developed sharp sticks. Okay. We wouldn't have developed spears or atlatls or slings or anything like that. We just chase it down. Okay. And if these creatures have the ability to do a lot of stuff that we needed tools to do, maybe they would have evolved in a more, let's just call it, spiritual manner. And, you always hear, for those of you who have seen or heard that podcast, the telepathy tapes, that are talking about nonverbal autistic children and how they seem to have the ability to communicate via their mind with their caregivers. There's some evidence backing that up. There's some people that are not crackpots that are very well respected in their medical fields going, this appears to be happening, and it's repeatable. It's verifiable. So there's something there. And some of the talk is that maybe, maybe everybody was capable of doing this, but we've just lost that ability because we've focused in other directions. Okay. We have evolved in a particular direction. Sasquatch is not going to be building like rockets and, putting satellites up into the air, but maybe they've developed and evolved in a way to do things that we can't do.
Their technology is different from our technology.
Well, you wouldn't even have like a technology, it'd be more of like a biological technology.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. Is that their type of technology. Here we have sprockets and rockets, and they have mind melding. You know what I'm saying? Sprockets and rockets.
Our buddy 40 in Tennessee, the juvenile saw at about 20 feet distance, looks so much like a human child, save with jet black skin and covered in jet black hair. It utterly traumatized me. So and I've had other people that I know that have seen them, and they said they looked very ape-like. And so here's the deal. I mean, I don't know. You get into the door gets open at that point, and you start looking at maybe there are different variants of it. I don't know. But again, the physical portion of it, I think that's an interesting secondary, topic of importance compared to like the witnessed abilities that people seem to do. And to be honest with you, when you start to open the door for some of that stuff, that they have evolved in ways that we have not, that there's certainly things that we can do that they can't do thanks to our technology. Well, there's things that they apparently can do that we can't do based upon their own evolved abilities. And if you have generation after generation after generation of a species that already has very, very heightened and advanced natural gifts, and they're constantly trying to increase those, it's not outside the realm of possibility. And then you go, well, why hasn't one been caught? And you're going, why would one be caught at this point? You're dealing with something that has the ability to anticipate what you do in the woods. It has the physical gifts to be able to stay one step ahead of you out there.
And it's constantly evolving and moving forward too.
Yeah. And if its thing is, if it knows, if it's intelligent and it knows, it's game over when the hairless people figure out we're here. And it's constantly in the forefront of their mind. Stay hidden, stay away. Don't let them find you. And if that is, and again, that seems odd to us. Like we couldn't live in that manner. People are lazy. But if that has become instinctual to them, if it's an instinct at this point for them to try to stay away from people. And apparently I always go, my problem with this is where are the clumsy ones? Where are the risk takers that miscalculate and they're doing a road crossing and they are a little too slow, or they stumble and they fall and they get hit by the car, and then we got a body there and everything like that. But maybe just us seeing them as the clumsy risk takers out there. And the ones who've got those
are the slip ups that you're looking for. Also, I do want to say, Joseph Elijah Cannon, thank you so much for that super
sticker.
Thank
you, Joseph.
Sorry, I'm behind on all this. I'm trying to catch up with everything. Go on, Joe. You're risk taker.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's as bad as it gets. Is that there's so many more out there that don't make those mistakes. We never see them. You never see.
You keep asking where are the ones that slip up. People do have sightings.
Yeah,
so
maybe that's slipping up. Maybe we've only ever seen maybe every Bigfoot sighting that anybody's. And you go back to Patty. I always talk about that. That's my problem that I have with the Patterson Gimlin film. It's kind of dumpy looking. It's kind of sloppy. It doesn't look particularly fast or graceful. It's probably powerful, but I look at that and I just go, I have a hard time imagining that a creature like that could evade discovery for century after century. But then I go, maybe all of the Bigfoot sightings that have ever occurred are of the dumb ones, the ones that are maybe older or sick, and that a healthy, intelligent one, you just couldn't see it. You couldn't catch it. It's too far ahead of you. Okay. You were out in the woods looking at it with thermals and red flashlights, and it's gone all predator mode and covered itself with wet mud, and it's kind of hiding over there. And we just walked 10 feet away and we never saw it. And so maybe those are the ones you see, are the ones that are, they're not at the top of their game at that point. Mm-hmm. I always go back to, and I'm not going to mention his name because the gentleman who was the subject of an FBI manhunt that managed to stay.
Oh, you said his name 55 times last week.
And we got dinged. So he managed to evade the FBI, by living in the forest for 5 years, and he basically gave up. That's how they caught him. He just didn't care anymore. He wanted it to be over with.
Thank you, Kathy Smith, for that super sticker as well.
Thank you for that, Kathy. But we, he did it for 5 years. And again, there were more resources being devoted to finding him that have ever been put forward on any Bigfoot hunt out there. Okay. Resources, the full weight of the federal government spent trying to find this guy, and he evaded them for 5 years until he just got tired of running and he turned himself in. So now let's all of a sudden take it and let's amplify his strength, his speed, his agility, his ability to remain stealthy, his ability to remain hidden, his natural understanding of the forest. And he's something that doesn't get tired of staying hidden because it's not even second nature, it's first nature to it. Why would we think we could find that? You know what I'm saying? Why would we think we could find that when all of the cylinders are firing for that? I'm starting to think that our best bet for this is going to be to find a sick one, an older one that's just unlucky, a dumb one. You know what I'm saying? That one that
do the dumb ones make it that far in life? Are they culled? Do they die early?
Is Bigfoot Society red tooth and nail, and they take care of the one, and it's kind of grim, and a lot of people are going to go, "Good God, Joe!" But is that maybe what happens with their society, that they start to realize when they start to slip up, and they like a Logan's Run type thing?
Well, maybe
stop, a Logan's Run type thing. They got gems in their palms. They turn red. Bigfoot Logan's Run. Damn, that's awesome. There's a movie for you right there. All right.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Can I say so? Ring the bell? Okay. Maybe they realize what happens if someone slips up. Maybe they realize that what happens to their species is done. Yeah. So maybe it's best that they cull the weak ones, Logan's Run style. And
thank you, Lady Wolf.
Thank you, Lady Wolf. Yeah. They cull the weak ones, Logan's Run style, instead to save the rest of.
Well, here's the deal: you would almost have to have a single mind. No, almost. You would have to have a single-minded determination. Because think about it right now. Think about
that cat needs to be hunted.
It's crazy. So we got a cat scratching at our door, but you would have a society, and it's hard for us to think of as people because that's not how that human societies like occur. And hold on a second.
Just let him in. Lady Wolf, are you in the middle of a rant? I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat.
Yeah, let me just finish this up real quick. Is that, you know how people are, and the elders would sit around a campfire and tell all the younger ones, this is where you need to stay out of. Mm-hmm. This is where it's dangerous to go to. Jesus Christ. Come on. This is where it's dangerous to go to. This is where, stay out of here, okay? This is the forbidden area. It's certain death to go there, And you know that there's going to be a small subset of those kids, the adventurous ones, that are going to go, I'm going to the forbidden zone. That's how humanity has spread across the globe. That's how we've crossed oceans, climbed mountains, done all this crazy stuff.
The wild and woolly ones.
Yeah, you know. And it is, you would have to be dealing with a species where that is kept completely in check one way or the other. Either that doesn't exist. Maybe if they have mental abilities beyond us, maybe you're imprinted at an early age to kind of like subvert those thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's some sort of, again, we're dealing with something that has to have a society. There has to be a social contract there to keep them from breaking it, because that's always been my problem with Bigfoot. If it's an animal, we should have it. We should have one in a cage. Maybe they're elusive, but at the same token, people catch and kill everything on Earth. You know, there were cavemen with sharpened sticks taking down, like, you know, woolly mammoths. We're really good at it. We're very efficient.
One of my favorite quotes from Mike Green was, mankind has killed, stuffed, and eaten every creature on this planet, including other men. What makes Sasquatch think he's exempt?
So you just drove William Kennedy crazy with that. But my thing is that it's not an animal, but if it's a person, if it's another race of people, basically, you guys know people. There's so many variations. There's smart ones, there's dumb ones. There's ones that are lucky, ones that are unlucky. Risk takers, ones that play it safe. You don't see that variation to such a degree. So something's going on to keep everybody, for the most part, in line. And you almost get to it that it's almost like it's a collective consciousness. It's like a hive mind almost. That's not people. We're dealing with something that we may share some evolutionary background with. We may have all come from like the same, like, you know, core species, but we have diverged in such ways that they're basically alien at this point. That's not how people act. That's not how animals act. You're dealing with something that is unlike anything else on Earth. But why is that impossible? Why is that impossible? There are species that are singular in their abilities all across the planet. You know what I'm saying? And there are things that, like, well, this species can do this and nothing else on the planet can. And you've got, so maybe that's not outside the realm of possibility that they've developed quite honestly, that's about the only way that they could stay. They've got to be physical enough to be able to handle us individually if the need arises, but to stay hidden. Intelligent enough to know what's going on and to quickly figure out as we advance how to like get around those technological advances. And very singular minded. The whole group has to be on the same page all the time. And there really can't be any outliers. There can't be any outliers. And maybe that results in some difficult decisions being made out there for Sasquatch kind. Little Billy's going to, is going to bring the whole house of cards down. Something's got to be done.
Billy the Squatch?
Billy the Squatch. So
thank you for that, I've got some stuff marked on
Thank you for that, Deborah Stewart. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Dead End Yard Hunt, presented without comment. Cocaine Bigfoot's going to have to be a thing now, for God's sake.
We can get a cocaine Bigfoot made up.
Lady Wolf had asked Best Mod the Business for a knife check. I am carrying Cold Steel Vaquero, Lynn Thompson edition.
You're going to fall.
We got this from our buddy Sean Blevin, so I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but he gave that to me. I was trying to find one. They were next to impossible to find. Actually, they weren't next to impossible.
I just love that blade shape on the Vaquero.
Yeah, that thing is like
neat.
It's just a 100% defensive blade. It's serrated, got an S-shaped blade on it, big old grip. But yeah, that's not a camp knife. That is and I'll sometimes carry. I won't carry this one because I don't want to lose it. But I've got a mass market version of it, one that was mass produced, that I'll sometimes carry hidden on me just in case. So.
All right. Well, all right. I have this is our last Emerson in our collection. We used to have a huge Emerson collection. This is the final Emerson, the last Emerson in the collection. This is a Emerson Horseman. This is the John Wick knife, right?
The John Wick knife, yeah.
Right, so. There we go. This is John Wick's little pocket knife there. That's just my it's kind of an everyday carry for me. I love to carry this thing. That little hook back there is called a wave, so I can deploy this one-handed. I stick it in my pocket. That grabs onto the edge of my pocket, and I can deploy it one-handed. So I think that's pretty cool. But black on black, as usual. My favorite knives are always black on black, and they're all kind of my size. But yep, that is an Emerson Horseman.
Do you know what you want to do here?
He has something to say.
So, a couple other things in the chat here tonight. We'll just go with it. This is a side note. My buddy Turdog, without spilling juicy info, have you used Dewey's secret weapon in the field yet? The helmet, we have not. We've got to do some tests on that.
We've got to have, we're going to have our EMT, our staff EMT. You know, what's great about, we've been doing this for 5 years now, maybe a little longer, like actively with the channel and everything, is we've really built a really cool community of people. And we have so many people with so many different skills that we've become really great friends with. Our friend Bill is actually an EMT. And he saved a lady's life at CryptidCon. But him and Russell Accord saved a lady's life at CryptidCon. But Bill is he is our head of our medical staff. He's going to be present.
We have a science division. Him and Sheila Ebeling are our medical division at this point. Sheila will give us long distance medical advice when
she's our remote
exactly so, patron saint of helmet holler.
But we have to have him present for a few of the initial tests of the helmet, because it is stronger than any other device ever built for this purpose. So we have to make sure I'm not going to have a seizure and die. So we're going to have him monitoring my just my vitals while we do a few tests on it before we go out and test that out in the wild. We've got a lot of crazy Bigfoot stuff happening right now. So
and we don't say that lightly.
We've got a lot of crazy Bigfoot stuff happening.
I'm saying with the power that this thing has.
Oh, okay. All right.
You don't really, if you look at the God helmet.
Wait, did we tell the public what we were doing, or did we released a video to members?
You release it for the public.
I'll release it for the public.
If you're familiar with the God helmet, and then you are familiar with some of the stuff with the Monroe Institute trying to get hemisync, hemispheric sync,
the gateway tapes.
Between both sides of your brain. And then if you were from this is not really like a God helmet.
This is like a Mecha Lord helmet.
If you look up something called transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is used in the medical field some, and there has been talks about possibly using it like a God helmet, but nobody's done it before. But this is like a God helmet on steroids, but then it branches out. shares some similarities with it, but it's far beyond that. And we've got to test it. We've got to test it in a controlled environment, and we've got to test it where if anything goes wrong and Jesse has an adverse reaction to it, we have a trained medical professional there.
Yeah.
And that's not goofy YouTube stuff. That's literally, this is going to be cool, and this is going to really open some stuff. Now, it's wooey as all get out.
It's going to revolutionize the field, I think.
And that's not said lightly. So.
No. But that's part of the contact experiments. And we've kind of stepped away from the contact experiments for a minute because we are really getting bombarded with this Bigfoot stuff right now. And we've got a very special project we're working on right now, but in all due time, we will get back to the contact experiments and bring that baby out, because I'm also a little apprehensive about the whole thing.
It's gonna get weird, man.
It is gonna get weird when we get into that. So
it's gonna get weird. So, but anyway, I'm curious as to what you guys think. I know everybody's always they fall into the camps. They fall into the flesh and blood or the woo camp. And I'm kind of straddling the middle, I'm not trying to be a fence setter, but I'm just saying we don't know. Just because you saw it and it didn't do something weird does not preclude it from having the ability to do something weird. And if you saw it and it did something weird, there was some paranormal associated activity with it, doesn't mean that it still doesn't do normal daily biological functions like pick a crap or eat, walk across the road, anything like that. And maybe just when we catch it, it's like that whole thing, like blind men trying to figure out what an elephant is just by touch. And one's feeling the ear and it thinks the elephant is one particular type of animal. One's feeling its trunk. It thinks it's like a large serpent. One's feeling this, just its side. And we're just blind men and women, kind of feeling our way through the dark, and whatever we happen to brush up against basically colors our entire perception of the phenomenon as a whole. And I don't think I think the biggest thing that we need to do is realize how much we don't know, and stop shouting people down who, we make jokes about apers all the time, because it used to be that those were the most vocally aggressive people that were just convinced it was a large undiscovered ape in the woods. Those are the most vocally aggressive and least open to other ideas. But now I see some of that from the woo community too. I see some of that from the woo community. What are you laughing about?
Woo community. The cat has a voice. Who will speak for the cat?
Cat speaks for his damn self.
Every morning at 5 a.m. Sorry.
Anyway,
I couldn't breathe.
I think that's one of the things we need to kind of all recognize, or not. You know what I'm saying? I speak for the community. But I think that's something that
really setting your thing in stone there, Joe. We need to really do this or not. I don't care.
But that's my other thing too is that when you get down to it, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I do. You do what you do. If somebody else wants to do something else, knock yourself out, sunshine. I don't care. Other people's opinion of what's going on have no bearing on what we do. That's why I don't read other Bigfoot books. That's why I don't really pay attention to what a lot of other Bigfoot research.
But you are thankful that you read Mike Green's
book. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Because I think you found a kindred spirit.
But I think at the same token, that's going to kind of just taint the pool for me, because nothing else we're going to read is going to be that good.
Well, then just hang it up.
Part of it too is that I think that we approach this with a certain innovation and imagination that I think I don't want to taint that with just the old ways of doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? You start to think in terms like that, and I think everybody should just be kind of going off in their own direction, doing what you want to do. You want to play
and applying your own personal skill sets to what you do. And what is something new I can bring to the field? What is something that I'm good at or that I have knowledge of that I can apply to the field in a novel way?
Yeah. And I just think that I guess that's all I'm going to put out there, is that maybe give it some thought. Maybe just kind of think about it. Just because what you experienced and it behaved a certain way and it left you with an impression that that's what the Bigfoot phenomenon consists of. Well, maybe somebody else, that doesn't preclude the validity of somebody else's experience. Just because they experienced something different doesn't mean that it differs from what you experienced. Maybe you're both right, and maybe that would stop some of the constant bickering that goes on. Okay, yeah, you experienced this. I experienced this weird too. It's this weird, it's this weird game of one-upmanship that everybody always has to play with one another, I caught a foot-long fish. Well, I caught a 2-foot-long fish. You know, it's just this.
I am a fish.
Yeah, I am a fish. But it's this weird kind of like almost one-upmanship that happens. You know, well, you know, he's lying because this happened. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. To me, when you get to the point where you go, there's a 7 to 9 foot tall hairy hominid, like, and I'm using the word hominid and hominin interchangeably, like living in the woods of North America, and we can't prove it, officially prove it. You know, we had that discussion. It's been proved. It's been proved to untold numbers of people. It's been proved because they experienced it. For them, it's real. They know what's up. But it's
They know what's up.
They know what's up. But they, you know, it's.
Although JD Smooth says, I've seen Bigfoot and I'm in the middle too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, and my thing is that if there's people out there that are having like habituation and stuff like that they always talk about, the ball's in your court, man. This is the perfect opportunity for you to get some like really good evidence to kind of get it out there for people. And if you don't want to, I understand that too, man. You know, maybe a lot of us would be disappointed if the mystery was ever solved. You know, you got to have a little mystery in life, man. You know,
that means I got to go back to professional bowling.
Indeed, your professional bowling career has to, you have to be revived.
Got to come back. Jesus.
Finding the Trackway says that I've told people within the Pacific Northwest that this doesn't match what I've seen back east. We get that all the time. That I'm just going, and it's weird because there's a lot of, at least what I've experienced, a lot of people in those areas are just like, oh, there's no Bigfoot in the South. And I'm going, whatever you're experiencing up there, I don't think it's in the South. I think it's something else down here. But if you don't think that there's not enough wilderness down here for something like that to stay hidden, it's down here, you know. Even the Uwharries, like we talked about, the Uwharries, 50,000 acres, I think is what it is on paper. That's the confines of the national forest itself. There's a ton of private wooded land up there, and Bigfoot doesn't have onyx. He's not, going, oh, I got to stay in this national forest. I mean, they're going to roam wherever they can go to stay hidden at,
So Top of the South Pacific asks, have y'all had a Bigfoot experience?
We've had experiences with things that could be Bigfoot, but we
can't say for sure.
Sure. We saw something in the LBL running that I don't think it's not a Bigfoot.
No. I'll say straight up, I've never had a Class A sighting.
I maybe had a Class A sighting when I was a kid.
But you still have a doubt in your mind about
I don't know if I could have dreamed it.
Yeah. You were a child.
I could have been hoaxed.
Yeah.
Or it could have been real. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We've caught stuff on thermal up close. We've heard the screams, the howls. We've heard the weird stuff. We've found stick structures and everything.
But never a dead-on
Class A sighting, broad daylight. Nope. Since then, we've seen stuff, but they're not Bigfoot. I don't know what they are. We saw them in the LBL. Jesse saw a large dark figure running, but when I say see Bigfoot, I'm talking 20 feet away. Facing you, I'm facing it, broad daylight, and there's time to look at it and really go.
Full glory.
Yeah, full glory Bigfoot sighting.
Minerva Roca, love your streams, member for 7 months. And also Minerva tossed us a $20.
Thank you, Minerva. Really appreciate it. Thank you
very
guys so
much.
Thank you.
Ristel, member for 16 months. City Boy is killing it tonight.
City Boy is killing it. So
City Boy for the win.
All right, so let's see. We're kind of coming up to the top of the hour. We're wrapping up. I'm going to try to go through chat.
Go through some of the starred
stuff real quick.
I'm
okay,
going
we'll hit some of
chat.
This real quick.
You just
Wango
Tango it, kid.
Wango Tango it. Let's see what else.
MK Ultra thinks that a meet and greet at a bowling alley would be awesome.
That'd be pretty awesome. So
I have my own custom ball.
Jesse does have a custom bowling ball. Gary Duncan says, Joe, would be glad Jesse was born in North Carolina instead of Washington State. You'd be partnered with a 10'2", Jesse. Talking about birth control. Things up north tend to be bigger.
Then Joe would be fearful of the snoo.
The snoo. So, I thought you said you had some stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I disappointed you here?
No, I'm saying I thought you had some stuff started here.
I start some stuff.
Scientific division here. So we spend billions on cloaking technology, whether for individual use or large craft. But an evolved hominid learning to cloak themselves isn't at best mildly divergent from us. I think, and that's the thing, is that it's obviously, if if Bigfoot's real, if we're not all just crazy, okay? If Bigfoot is real, you have to come to the understanding that it's doing stuff that nothing else on earth can do. And that's what it drives me crazy when people start to talk about that it's an ape, but then they start tacking all this other stuff on here. It's an ape that can see infrared light, which no warm-blooded animal on earth can do because your own body heat interferes with it. It's an ape that's eyes self-illuminate, where you have a light receptive sensory organ that is now emitting light, which would basically blind you. You start tacking all this other little stuff. It uses infrasound like no other creature on earth uses infrasound. All of a sudden, I'm just going, we left regular undiscovered ape in the rearview mirror a long time ago.
Yeah.
So when you start to realize and you go, okay, even if it's just a thought experiment, these things exist by virtue of the fact that they are what they are. And nobody has one in a cage, or nobody has put one on a slab, or you can't go to a zoo and see one. Obviously, they're doing stuff that the rest of the world, the rest of the animal kingdom can't do, because nothing else on earth can elude official recognition and official, recognition, official capturing, whatever you want to call it. It can't do that. So you're dealing with something all of a sudden. Then if you want to just go, it's a possibility that these things are out there. Then you have to go. The sky's the limit as to what they can do. Stuff that sounds crazy. Whole topic sounds crazy. Whole thing sounds crazy. 8 foot tall.
The whole court's out of order.
I'm out of order. You're out of order. So
Suji says mysticism becomes science. Science becomes mysticism. I got a couple of good little things through here.
Okay.
Harvest Mary Moon says Bigfoot is like an emotion. You know it's real, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
Cryptid Castleberry Paranormal member for 16 months. Thank you, sir. Says this time next year, y'all need to do a dark dive live on the Mobile Leprechaun.
Man, I wish I had that image up. You guys know the Mobile Leprechaun. Everybody see Leprechaun, say hey.
Hey.
The dude is doing that, has a moment where everybody says hey, and he just looks back at the camera and he goes, does this thing and he's just having such a freaking ball with it. I love it.
But they even in that story, there is one of these crazy people who claims they have been hunting these things their entire life. There's that guy who has that PVC pipe that says it's an ancient leprechaun flute that has passed down through his family for years. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter where you go or what you're looking into, you've got those people in there. Although I've been hunting leprechauns my whole life, Where
is I have.
You can't play it.
Yeah, we'll get like a copyright ding, but that's my favorite part of that. So
that's my favorite part.
So anyway, if I hate to do this because I'm not doing this to get engagement of the video up, but if you've got thoughts on this, leave a comment beneath there. We'll be going through and looking at the comments.
Leave a comment below.
Let us know what you think about it. I know we have people in here, and guess what? Your opinion is as good as ours on this stuff, man. Your opinion is as good as anybody else's out there, because quite honestly, nobody's really at the end of the day proven anything.
Yeah.
So if you think it's a monkey, I don't agree with you, but knock yourself out, man.
Live that monkey life.
Live that monkey life, baby. But if you think they're climbing off of UFOs and they're from Zeta Reticula, maybe, I don't know.
Reticulated.
All right, Ed McMahon.
I'm your hype man today.
You are my hype man.
Because you're going off. I'm here,
You're hyping me up.
I'm jiving up the audience,
You're hyping. What the? I just kind of scrolled through the chat real quick to kind of get to the bottom. Tristan Myers, speaking of mankind eating everything, have y'all heard about the elites allegedly eating mermaids?
Now we have. What?
Now I have, but now I want to know more. Does anybody know about this?
Would you like to know more?
I would like to know more. Yes, very much so.
Okay, now we got to do this.
Wait, and then what the flock goes? I've heard that, Tristan. What the hell?
Oh, I'm sorry. We just missed the mermaid eating conversation that's been going on around the world right now, apparently. Screw Bigfoot. Munching on mermaids.
We're going to mermaids.
Jesus.
All right.
I think I'm done.
We're wrapping this up. I think I want to leave on the note of the elites eating mermaids. I think that's want to wrap the show up. That's a perfect.
I just want you to know that they're out there. They're just eating the mermaids. You think they eat them head first? They eat tail first.
Are you?
What do you think they like?
Are you Jesse Ventura, Alex Jones? There, a mixture of the both of the two.
It's
It's
you ever
Alex,
seen, hey, you ever
Alex
seen
Ventura.
You ever seen all three of us in the same room?
Never. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. We are. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. thank you for everybody that contributed tonight. We
Thank
appreciate that. For those of you who are interested in helping out with the audio project, that is still going. We're in the process of putting these together. I'm going to be doing a blend of some purchased wildlife acoustic stuff, but then the ones that I'm building, I'm getting some microphones in on. Then we're going to start fielding those up. And those of you who want to assist with the audio review of that, I'm going to probably have a similar clip, the same clip to a couple different people, just to see if everybody comes up with the same thing. Somebody might hear something that someone misses.
And see if we get like the same time stamps and everything back. So when we get that organized up, we'll put a little call to action out there.
Sam Burton's checking out. Sam, I hope you feel better too. If you are on Facebook and you do not follow Sam Burton and the trials and tribulations of farm life, you need to do that, because quite honestly, I left Facebook and I came back to Facebook because I missed the farm updates from Sam. Sam took a spill recently. We hope that he is feeling better. But we're going to wrap this up, folks. And let us know what you think about this. Let us know what you think. I know this was kind of a meandering conversation tonight, but it always is.
Make sure you put your thoughts in the comments
section. Let us know what you think about.
Hit that like button.
The nature of Bigfoot, and if it's possible that.
Now, was it Robert Claiborne? I think it was Claiborne was his last name. Where was he? I thought I started. He was mentioning super soldiers. So if you have a super soldier theory on that as well, that's also something that has been bandied about, that it's not some sort of flesh and blood creature or some supernatural being. This is something that was created.
But stories of Bigfoot or Bigfoot-like creatures have coexisted alongside mankind since there's been a mankind to talk about it
prior to the super soldier.
Now that doesn't mean
era.
that doesn't mean that, again, I say this with everything: UFOs, Dogman, pretty much Bigfoot, anything like that. If these things exist and the government is aware of them, it's not outside the realm of possibility that they would try to recreate this stuff for their own ends. So that's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? That's a possibility. And maybe, I just had a thought. Maybe that's part of the reason why our modern government doesn't publicly acknowledge these things, because it doesn't want other governments to know they're real and then maybe start trying to get their own Bigfoot super weapons. I'm just all over the damn place with that. Anyway,
Jesus. All right.
Good God.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight for Hellbent Holler Live. Another poignant conversation. Another mind melder.
Another mind breaker. As Cowboy 4572, best damn paranormal content on the internet.
I'll take it. Period. Thank you, Cowboy.
So we will be, like I said, we're going to be doing some live streams from the field. Have your notifications on. I know notifications aren't going out right now. Again, YouTube's kind of going through some growing pains right now.
I think we'll holler at the Discord chat.
And we might even do a brief live stream going. We're going to be live later on to just try to make sure that everybody gets it. We don't want anybody to miss it if we go on.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys. We appreciate everybody that contributed to the cause.
You guys stay safe this week. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out if you have not hit yet. And make sure you share the videos. We appreciate it. Every little bit helps get the word out there and help us grow the channel, get out there and get some more people in here to vary the conversation a little bit, I think is the goal. And just build community and build an elite super soldier program of hellbenders. I think that's the ultimate goal.
We're growing them in a lab. All right, let's roll out.
All right, guys, you have a great week. And as I always say, look down there. Got a story from the Uwharrie National Forest? Email us at
Has that been there the whole time?
Yeah, it's been scrolling, bro. Get out of here. All right. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Good night.